I was having interesting thoughts about a lot of the, I guess, kind of controversial topics. I wanted to talk about a lot of taboo, controversial topics, kind of have a nuanced, or as nuanced as possible discussion about, for example, legalizing prostitution, right? Um, I guess there have been studies that show that legalizing prostitution generally leads to more human trafficking, right? Um, which is not good, right? Of course, it does lead to legalizing would it lead to improvements in sex workers like work conditions, but it would lead generally lead to more human trafficking, right? So unlike alcohol prohibition, for example, which would actually lead to more crime, right? Organized crime like mafia, the mob, cartels. Um, legalize or prohibiting prostitution would actually lead to less trafficking, right? So it seems a little bit contradictory, but the way I think what's happening, I think I could be wrong, is that I think it's a supply and demand thing. So alcohol, while can be seductive, it's not really a biological need, right? You don't need to drink to survive, but sex, right? You don't need sex to live, but it's a really strong biological urge. So there's a lot of demand, but not enough supply. Most people don't really want to be sex workers, right? There are some people, but most people probably don't want to be sex workers, right? So there's a lot of demand and not enough supply. And if you have a situation like that, prohibition probably leads to, or sorry, legalizing like prostitution would lead to increased human trafficking, right? Because there's just not enough supply. I think it's similar to the situation like there's things like induced demand. I think anything with like really strong biological tendencies would probably have that same effect. I've also been thinking about things like so the reason why I've been thinking about like legalizing prostitution or decriminalizing prostitution or gun rights, right? Or do video games lead to violence, right? Or not? Or does porn lead to more sexual aggression? Or there's a lot of issues like that. Um, the reason why I've been thinking about that is just I'm really curious, honestly. For me, when it comes to politics, um, it's totally amoral, right? Morals don't matter when it comes to politics. Um, I personally have morals, right? I have things that I live by or try to live by. But when it comes to politics, right, it's not about me, right? It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about everybody, right? So morals they don't matter, right? Morals don't matter, right? What really matters is um, what benefits everybody, right? And that's like it's a more scientific way of looking at things, right? I couldn't care less about morals or opinions when it comes to politics. I care more about the scientific research, right? And I guess for things like video games, it doesn't lead to violence, most likely. It might lead to more aggression, right? And there's other um, negative consequences of playing video games, right? There's positive consequences and negative consequences, right? Just like anything. Porn, watching more porn probably doesn't lead to more, sexual aggression, probably, right? However, porn can be addicting, just like video games, right? Porn, video games, sex, junk food, tobacco, alcohol, any of these can be, right? Anything can be addicting. But it's, there's a lot of, it's very complicated. It's very, very complicated. And I don't want to overstep or overgeneralize any of these, of the findings of any of these studies, right? There's studies like Rat Park. Um, I think there was a study about a town without TV. But these are very interesting studies, right? Looking into like human nature, human behavior, and how to shape like an environment that would nurture healthy, emotionally equipped, emotionally well human beings. So it seems, I'm just theorizing, right? Please, please, please don't take this as science, right? I'm just theorizing. What I think is happening is, um, for example, let's take alcohol. Alcohol is totally benign as long as you're not prone to becoming addicted to alcohol in the first place, right? And what does that mean? That's a whole another set of, right, complicated factors, right? Human behavior is extremely complex, right? There's so many things going on. Um, but for example, if you're hanging out with your friends, right, having a drink or two, right, just having a good time with your friends, totally, right? That's totally awesome, right? In fact, it's beneficial because you're hanging out with your friends, right? You're having more social opportunities and experiences, right? Whereas if you're alcoholic, drinking one can of beer would lead to drinking two, 4, 8, 16, right? It's kind of like a slippery slope, right? Where if you drink one, you drink all of them. Same with video games, right? If you're just playing video games with your friends, right, for like an hour, maybe an hour a week, just to hang out, right, just to chill out, that's totally cool, right? In fact, it's good because you're socializing, right? You're having fun with your friends. But if you're playing video games 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, right, 24/7, well, I guess 8 hours a day, right? That's probably not healthy for you, right? And then playing video games would lead to more and more and more and more video games, right? Because you're addicted. So it's really, it's a really fine line between like healthy behavior and addictive, no, destructive behavior. It's a really fine line. Um, you know, so I mean, I'm just really, really curious. Like, I really want to know whether these things have an impact and influence on us, and if they do, how much of an influence does it have? Like, it, for example, um, if you watch a lot of, let's say, negative or doomer narratives, or if you watch the news too much, does it quite literally make you into a doomer, right? Does it like, or let's say if you watch, I don't know, like for example, if you watch a lot of lollies in anime, would that turn you into a pedophile, right? Or is being a pedophile in the first, does that lead to more, does that make you more prone to watching lollies, or is it not correlated at all, right? I'm just really curious, right? um I don't know, right? I honestly don't know. And that's why I want to have like this nuanced discussion, right? With no judgment, right? Just looking at the science, looking at the data, right? What does it really say? And it's very controversial, but yeah, I've been thinking about how our environment affects us, right? For example, I think we see like 80,000 advertisements in a single day. How does that affect our mentality, right? Or endlessly scrolling through Twitter or Reddit or YouTube comments, right? How does that affect our mentality? How does, short, like 30-second videos, how does that affect our attention span, right? All these questions, like, we kind of have an idea of how they affect us, but we don't really know, right? Is ADHD caused by social media, right? Short-term attention, attention grabbing social media, or does social media just exacerbate an already existent condition, right? And how does that like interplay, right? What if you're does it affect you more if you're younger, right, versus if you're older, right, and vice versa? And right, there's so many like questions that I'm so I just want to know, right? I just want to know so we can guide ourselves to like a better way of living, right? I just want to know if something is truly harmful, right? Even if at the cost of taking somebody's freedom, if it's harmful, right, to me or to you or to everybody else, we would have to do it, right? But then we would also have to take into consideration how that would affect our perceptions about society, right? There's always these like ulterior motives in messaging, right? In like politics, kind of like being moral elitists, but also like there's the opposite too, like rejecting morals altogether. But I want to see how these things actually influence us. Our movies, our TV shows, our video games, our books, our music, our food, our urban design. How does it all affect us, right? We truly we truly don't know, right? We really don't know. And so that's kind of what I want to explore.